The one of the reasons to start City Theater in my 40s with two younger pals who didn't have the connections I did, but certainly had different levels of energy and know-how, three women. And it's kind of remarkable. It was 27 years ago this month that we had cooked up a company in February as an idea. And my friend Elena Wool had come from LA as an actor who had been working there in one of those actors programs where you just go when you're working because you got to work, you got to do scene study, and you got to do all this stuff. And they were doing short plays. And she said, Susie, this is what we need to do. I said, short plays? Short plays? What's a short play? And it was like dashing off my various full lengths for other kinds of communities and people. And she said, no, just read this book. And she handed me one of the original anthologies from Actors Theater of Louisville when John Jory had started the Humana Festival, and quickly realized that agents were going to dominate the main stages with the plays they wanted Actors Theater of Louisville to produce. But he really loved playwrights, and he needed some point of entry. And that is how the Heidemann Award was created at ATL, to just open the spigots to people writing short plays, all kinds of people. So I read this anthology and I understand immediately what Elena is saying. This is interesting. And my other partner was a woman named Stephanie Norman, who was managing the Colony Theater on Lincoln Road, which I had helped reopen in the 80s, in my period of post Coconut Grove Playhouse. So we were a director and an actor and a playwright, and women. And we had all, sort of looked around the landscape and decided, well, what a great idea to start a theater festival of short plays that nobody knows what that is in the summer when everyone leaves. So we know that there are people like us who are still here. But where do we do this? And I just finished doing a gig at UM in the theater department. And the fellow who was head of that was Bob Ankrum. And Bob said, Susie, why don't you use the Jerry Herman Ring Theater? Because it's available in June. Nobody's going to be there until July for camps. So why don't you go there? But you have to allow the faculty and and students to audition and all of that stuff. It's like, wow, we have no more excuse. We have a theater and it's rent free. This is great. But the other thing about it was off season. And all of these pals who were, these extraordinarily talented actors and directors and designers in a 3-county area, from Palm Beach into Broward into Miami-Dade, who were between gigs, like they were unemployed from April until October. So they were suddenly available. And we, so the three of us put our heads together to figure out what this festival thing might be. And then we had to pay for it. And that's, again, it's the Miami Heat connection. So my husband and I sat in the whatever they were called, the premium seats at the time. And Elena's husband was now the general manager at the Heat. And Stephanie and Jeff, they had nothing to do with this part. But we wound up, I shouldn't say that. We wound up putting together a golf tournament. And we put up a golf tournament in May. So we were founded in February. We put up a golf tournament in May at the country club of Miami. So out by Miami Lakes. And we made all of these men who sat in these seats become sponsors. And they said, sure, we'll play golf. We'd love to play golf. We'll play golf. We'll give you money. How much do you need? How much do you have to raise? And we raised all the money, a little more, to put on our show. And it was so funny to come back to them and say, okay, now you have to come see the show. Like, wait, what? We have to go to theater? What? I said, but this is the good news. These are 10-minute plays, guys. Not only are they 10 minutes, so if you don't like this one, there's going to be something else that comes along you're really going to like. And you can wear your shorts and you can drink a beer in the theater. Okay, like what could be wrong with that? And in fact, that was really laid the groundwork for this experiment. And made lots of mistakes. We picked 18 plays. Like we could not say no to less than 18. So that had to become 2 programs. And if you know the ring, it has these 2 courtyards that are uncovered, and it's June. So we're looking around, we're saying, well, if we're going to keep them so that they will do the program A and program B, we have to feed them. So we were suddenly in catering, and one of our brand new board members was a woman who ran Kenny Rogers Roasters, and she agreed to cater the meal in between on weekends. And we had a 2-week run. That's all we had. But we had 18 plays, and we had 15 actors and 12 directors. And it was a zoo. And we were doing this as an equity union company. I mean, we were not going to not do this the way we wanted it to be done. And the critics loved it. They did. They loved it for the same reason, theater people love what we do, but we're the gateway drug for newbies, because they just can come in and they're going to sit there and watch whatever the program is of these plays. And it's the poo-poo platter, it's Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. Something will be appealing. They're going to hate something. That's good. You want them to hate something. You want them, what we discovered was that these lunches, these picnics, which were family style, would put all these people who did or didn't know each other together, talking about what they had just seen, and suddenly understanding what a repertory company of really talented actors is, because every actor had between 5 and 8 roles. It was nuts. But in the doing of that, we were training our audiences how to have a palate. They weren't just going now to the only theater they liked, if it was Gable Stage or Actors Playhouse or something, where they will see different things, but that doesn't mean you have a palate. And our audiences were coming in, and we were so in their face with stuff, because they were seeing plays by Tony Kushner. They were seeing plays by the late Stacy Sweeting, who they didn't know, who became really important to us. They were seeing my plays. They were seeing plays by Pinter. We were throwing it all out there, and and then it was over. But these were full productions, these 10-minute plays. So the critics were seeing they were developing their palette. They were seeing actors. Because right off the bat in 1996, when we did this, we made an interesting discovery that playwrights of short plays don't necessarily tell you much about who the characters need to be. So they're not prescribing much beyond gender. So you can be older, you could be younger, you could be Black, you could be Latin, you could be all kinds of things. So we had looked around and decided right off, we're going to have the most diverse ensemble of actors that anybody's ever seen on a stage in Miami, because we need those actors. We need them. We're investing in their ability to be chameleons. And what they have come to love is that they aren't going to be the same character. They are hired to be over and over and over again, sometimes for years. But we give them the craziest mix of characters to be, and then say to them, yeah, and in 10 minutes you're somebody else, and in 10 minutes you're somebody else. And by the way, there's a costume change. So you just have to, get in there and come back out, and it's got to go, 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 go. So it has been this remarkable ride for that reason. And we've discovered Oscar Isaac was one of our actors, like Oscar Isaac, who was still in school, and went to Juilliard, and he's Oscar Isaac. He's Oscar Isaac. He can do anything. And then Marco Ramirez was a talented kid who was a playwright we discovered in a playwright development program, because that's what I've been doing. I mean, that's really why I founded City Theater, was to grow up playwrights and find playwrights, and like you, connect them personally and professionally, and in collaborations that come back and reward us for sure, but they reward the world. Steve Yockey right now is, Steve Yockey is this amazing playwright who was having great luck in theaters around the country, and I met him. He was a playwright from the National New Play Network, of which it is like the most remarkable invention to theater, and since the regional theater network was created. But he came to us, and he's our most commissioned playwright, and he throws things at us that are just silly and edgy and dark and funny and they're surprising. I mean, we've had to have toasters drop from the ceiling out of outer space because that's what Steve wrote. So now he's the showrunner and producer for The Flight Attendant, and before that he did Supernatural, and he's got 2 more shows in front of him. And Roland Jones, we've done his plays forever. And so the transition of discovery for me has been, as the literary connector, it doesn't really matter who you are. You could be a really successful writer. And I mean, The Simpsons, we've done plays by the Simpsons writers. They really care about their 10-minute plays, and they have to be good. And we invite them to come and see. And then they want to write more for us. And we want to introduce them to other writers, and tell them what's out there. All of this is the education I didn't get growing up in Miami. I had opportunities in high school, and I was encouraged in high school, and by the Girl Scouts, and by my uncle. But Miami is, there's a lot more to it. There's the South Florida Theater League, and there's the Department of Cultural Affairs and their investment in creating writers programs. We're becoming a really interesting destination. And the playwrights coming up have such fascinating stories to tell that deserve to be heard, not only locally, but everywhere. And I mean, it is happening, because there are people who are now successful and out in the world. And Frances Benson is one of them, and Vanessa Garcia. It just makes me happy. It makes me happy